Hello and welcome back to Supernatural, where we're on a quest to make the extraordinary ordinary and unlock the greatness that lives in every human being. Thanks for joining us. We've got a fun one today. We're going to be talking about everything from pro sports and high performance to natural healing to navigating business as a path of personal development and bringing your vision to life. And I couldn't be more excited to be having this conversation with a longtime friend of mine, a former teammate, and somebody who's up to big things in the world. My guest today is Jasper Weatherby. Jasper is a professional hockey player whose career has spanned the NHL, AHL, and Europe. He's the co-founder of OffScript, an app designed to connect fans directly to athletes while circumventing the lack of trust, respect, and safety on other platforms like social media. He was born and raised in Ashland, Oregon, and remains passionate about spiritual and natural healing, as well as the role that meditation plays in personal growth. Welcome, brother. So happy you're here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here, and yeah, great to see your face and catch up, man. We spent a lot of time together in the junior leagues, so it's fantastic.
Yeah, we had some great times, and it's been nice to reconnect after all this time, and happy to see the success that you've had. Couldn't be more proud. But yeah, I want to dive into you a little bit. I look back to when we first met. You were just this humble, hardworking, small town kid from Oregon, and I think you always kind of embraced this role of the underdog and proving people wrong through sheer determination and grit. And so, give us a brief overview of you, your story, where you come from, and where you are now.
Yeah, awesome. I was born and raised in Ashland, Oregon, which is a small mountain town in southern Oregon. I was lucky to pick up a hockey stick around the age of 7 and 8 with my best friend at the time, and we just started playing, and I kind of absolutely fell in love with hockey, and I always kind of joke that the reason I played was I was better at hockey than my older brother, and that was the only sport I could say I was better at than he was. So I just kind of was determined to kind of stick with it and run with it. And yeah, growing up in Southern Oregon, like there wasn't a lot of hockey, so the community was super tight, which probably is another reason I loved it. Like I knew everyone at the rink. My parents would drop me off and leave me there for hours. I still know the manager of the rink. Like we're still good friends. When I go back now, she gets me free ice and tries to, work with me to make sure that I can get on the ice. And we've done camps there and stuff. So yeah, it was just a super positive, super exciting period of my life. And I'm really lucky to be from that small town. And but at the same time, I think when you try to climb the ranks of hockey and you leave that small town, I was really kind of it was like being in a small pond, and now you're jumping into the ocean of AAA hockey and junior hockey and
Bit of a
stuff. So
shock.
bit of a shock, yeah. So yeah, I moved around a lot when I was younger, and just trying to pursue hockey, and it was always just kind of focusing on how I can get to the next level, and yeah, that's kind of I guess how our paths crossed in junior hockey.
Yeah, and you're the small town kid. You're probably watching the pros on TV, but it seems so far removed when you're that young. Did you ever see yourself playing in the NHL, getting drafted? When did that become a reality for you?
Yeah, I honestly never really thought of it when I was younger. Like for me, it was the reality was just try to get to college. Like college hockey was my big thing, and I think the reality of getting drafted probably was happened my last year in juniors. Everything started to kind of click, and yeah. But before that, it was just kind of look at the next hump you had to get over, and yeah, wasn't really on my radar, especially being from Oregon. Right, there wasn't anyone I could kind of look up to, or talk to from that era. So I figured maybe I can go do it myself.
Yeah, proving people wrong. That seems to be kind of your thing, even through juniors. I remember that big year you had where you kind of just exploded, and I think at that point everybody knew that your career was about to take off, and then you head to North Dakota, a huge hockey market. So talk to me about what that was like, going from the small town to AAA to juniors, and then you're at North Dakota. Amazing fan base, one of the favorite places that I've ever played personally. What was that like?
Yeah, it's wild. I remember going through my recruiting journey, and you're looking at different schools, and I think when you're from the West Coast, like North Dakota is the big school that you kind of hear about, and something special up in Grand Forks. And I remember going on my visit and just kind of blew me away. And for me, it was like hockey was, I wanted a university that gave me the opportunity to move to the next level. And very lucky to go to North Dakota. And the fans are wild. The fan base there is, it's crazy. Like just the atmosphere, and I love my time there, and super super lucky to be able to have said I played there.
Yeah, I bet. It sounds like a blast. I don't know if I could do the North Dakota winters. Pretty bleak out there at certain points of the year.
Really cold. Yeah.
But what an incredible experience you had. And then at this point, you're drafted. You're thinking about, okay, what's my next step? What's going to be, best for me and set me up for success. So take us through a little bit that transition from college sports into the world of pro sports, because it is kind of a different animal.
Yeah, completely. It was a completely different animal. My sophomore year, we get canceled from COVID. So our season ends kind of, I think we were actually planning on playing you guys, and you're texting me, we're on the way, season got canceled. So then I come back my junior year. We go into that bubble down in Omaha. I think we played 10 games in 30 days and quarantined, and that was a crazy experience. No fans in the.
What a weird time.
Yeah, that was wild to look back on. We had a really good my junior year. Our team was really good, and I finished that year. Talking with my agents, looking at potentially signing with San Jose, and we decided it was ultimately best for me to go back for my senior year. And at this point, I don't think San Jose had seen me in person. I hadn't been. I think that they'd seen me in 2018 when I was 20. That was the last development camp I was at, and with COVID, I hadn't been able to go back to another one. So they had their development camp late that year because of COVID. I think it was like late August. And I remember going to camp and feeling really good, having a really good development camp. Coaches and general managers in San Jose pulled me in and were like, "Hey, listen, if you sign right now, you'll play games right away." So I remember going, "Oh my gosh!" Like I've said I'm going to go back for my senior year, and my agents are telling me, "Hey, doesn't get better than this. You're a 4th round pick. You're going to be." I think at that point I was 22, 23. They're like, doesn't get better than this. Like it's, you have a bad year in your senior year. Management changed. It actually ended up changing in San Jose. So they said, you've got to sign here. Like this is, you've got to take this opportunity. But it was really hard because I think it was like North Dakota school season started like the next day. So it was like I've got like 12 hours to make this tough decision that's going to kind of, change the trajectory of my hockey career. Gone through season training, summer training with all these guys in North Dakota. Great, some of my best friends are still there. A decent amount of them. I think we had 12 or 11 guys sign after my junior year. So it was a completely different group, but still great guys, great humans, some of my classmates. And you're getting presented with, your childhood dream of playing in the NHL. And your agents are like, you've got to take this. This is, they're like, we'll support you either way, but it doesn't get better than this. So I ended up signing on like August 14th or something. And I think school started like the next day. So it was definitely like kind of thrown into the fire, a bit. Definitely a hard time, right? Because you're leaving, the best program in college hockey. They treated me fantastic, right? Like all the support in the world, a close-knit college group, and you're entering the pro world, which, you don't really understand how grindy and tough it is until you get in there. And it's like, you're just, you're thrown into the wolves. So it was, that transition was really, really challenging.
Yeah, I'm sure. And like you said, it's a whole different world too. There's guys with families, guys are getting traded left and right. Whereas North Dakota, you're a tight-knit family with college sports. And back in those days, you guys were contending for a national championship every year. So you're almost kind of giving up a chance at a national championship that senior year. So you were sacrificing a lot, but I think at the end of the day, yeah, you gotta make the decision that's going to be right for you and your career in the long term. But you go from getting dressed next to me in the locker room, and then a few years later, you're in the San Jose Sharks locker room next to NHL vets and royalty. What's going through your head there?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think just looking around and kind of being able to, that's where I grew up going to games in San Jose. Like it's 5 hours from my house. It's the closest NHL team and played silver stick tournaments down there, you name it, right? That was where we played. We played, US Selects was always down there. So I spent a ton of time in San Jose and would go to games anytime I could when I was down there. And yeah, now you're kind of getting dressed for the hometown team around some of the guys you grew up watching. So it was pretty surreal, pretty kind of crazy to watch what it's like on that side of things.
Yeah. And I remember watching you just kind of in your element, parking in front of the net, doing your thing. And that was just such a cool experience to have, just to see that kind of success and the hard work transfer over to the best league in the world. So that first year, how many games did you play after you
50,
signed with
yeah,
them?
50 games my rookie year. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And then from there, take us through like kind of what went down next and how you navigated this new world of pro hockey.
Yeah, so I was very lucky enough to step right in and play right away, which was, obviously, it's what you ask for and it's what they promised. And yeah, that summer there ended up being kind of a management shift, right? Doug Wilson, who had been at the helm of San Jose's organization, ends up getting sick and stepping down,
Yeah.
and new management comes in. And I think coming back that second year, I really realized kind of what it was. It was a business, and
Hmm.
how fast things can change. So yeah, I come back my second year in San Jose. You're coming back with all this knowledge you've learned, and you've put time in the summer trying to kind of correct what you need to work on, and end up playing in the American League to start the season. And I think by early January, I was traded to Detroit and finished the year in Grand Rapids. So in a blink of an eye, it's over. Your time in San Jose is done, and you get the call at, I think I was pulled off the ice in practice at 11 o'clock, pulled into the office. It was like, I always say, it's like that scene in Moneyball where they're like, we've just traded you to the Detroit Red Wings. Thank you for your time. And you're like Detroit's going to call you. And you literally step out of the office, you go down to your dry stall, the guys are looking at you like, what's going on? And I said, I just got traded. And they're like, you just got traded? I'm like, yeah. And first thing is I call it was my girlfriend, my wife now. I call my wife or text my wife, and she goes, I already know it's on social media. And I go, okay. And boom, like you get a call from Detroit, and they're like, hey, we're gonna fly you out at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And just like that, you pack up everything you can, you jump on a flight, and you're in Grand Rapids. So yeah, that's pro hockey, and I think yeah, looking back, like it's cool to go through that experience of getting traded and to be able to have these stories. But you make a lot of relationships, and I was only with San Jose for a year and a half, but I was drafted in 2018. So you see these guys in development camps, and you're friends with them, and you see guys you play against, and you have their numbers, and you're checking in, and just like that, you're in another organization where those drafted players have had the same 5, 6, 7 years of knowing someone. So yeah, it was really, really, really challenging.
Yeah, that's the kind of darker side, I think, of all pro sports is at some point you realize that it is a business, and to some degree you're kind of just disposable, right? Like you're this cog in the wheel of a bigger machine, and in a moment's notice you're starting new, which is tough. And so at this point you've been traded, you might be considering, okay, what's next? What
Hmm.
decision do I have to make to set my career up for success at this next phase? So what ultimately shaped the decision to go overseas with Europe, and share a little bit about how that experience has been with your wife and now raising your young kid?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's been amazing. Yeah, I think the decision, to come over to Europe was just get another opportunity to, explore the hockey world. And I think we've been really, really grateful to back over here. We're here for our second year in Czechia, and it's been fantastic. Like, you don't spend as many nights on the road, which is really nice. There's a little bit less games in the season. The fan base over here they're wild, right? They're chanting all game.
Oh yeah.
And so it's been really, really fun. Obviously, it's the language barrier is interesting, and I always said you go from getting in meetings and drills and practice, and you know exactly what's going on, and you're dialed in, and you're ready to, if you need to lead a drill or go first, like there's no problems. And now you're in Europe and you're in the back of the line. You don't know what's going on. Like everyone's trying their best to give you the translation, but it's not easy. It was definitely been a transition, but it's been a lot of fun. And I would say any player who's interested in coming over to Europe, like I've got only great things to say.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that with the language barrier. I'm sure you've got guys from several different countries, but I think back to when I was a little kid, and I had these Russian coaches, and I could never understand what they said. And I'm at the whiteboard, they're drawing out the drills. I'm like, what is going on? So probably a little bit of what you're feeling over there. And I can't imagine trying to be a professional in that place. So hats off to you, but what a cool experience to have, and to bring your family with you and just experience a new part of the world, a new culture, and to have a fan base that supports you so much. But yeah, I know that the demands of pro sports can be pretty brutal mentally and physically, and just the wear and tear that you've experienced up to this point in your late 20s. I know you just had shoulder surgery this past year. So what have you found on that side of things that's kept you healthy and able to perform at such a high level?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is really learning how to take care of your body. I don't think there's one size fits all. I think it's kind of figuring out the things that work for you. And some guys love ice baths, some guys love saunas, some guys love foam rolling, massage, right? Like you got to kind of find that ability to, figure out what works for you. And then other reality is sometimes it's unlucky, right? Just sometimes a puck will hit you in the ankle, and it'll break, or you'll get hit the wrong way. And learning how to navigate that is also a skill in itself. And I think also building a team around you, right? Like, I mean, I know I was doing all my rehab. I hurt myself late last year in the playoffs, and I did all my rehab back in Oregon and Toronto. And just having a team that was able to kind of like, hey, ready, here's the doctor's notes. We're going to translate them best we can, and we're ready to hit the ground. But yeah, injuries, they suck, but they're also part of the game. And I think the longer you play, right, the more you realize that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember back when we played together, I feel like both of us were just starting to have this first recognition that how we treated our body and the things we put in our body really affected our performance and our recovery. I remember we would go to Costco and buy these huge bags of mangoes because we recognize that if we're eating healthy, we're probably performing better than if we're buying the big bag of potato chips. And back then we loved our ice baths. You were a big Normatec guy back then. What's working for you now? What's kind of shifted? What stayed the same for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I think as you get older is understanding, how important rest is. That's a big one, right? And especially when you have a newborn, and you got to kind of figure out, how to get that sleep. And I think the other thing is obviously nutritionally what you put in your body is so important. And I know we were lucky to play in Wenatchee at a junior program. I don't think we had pizza once on the road, which I'm not saying pizza is a terrible thing, but we were really lucky to be kind of treated and fueled properly. And that's
100%.
perks of what they're doing over there in Wenatchee and treating guys the right way and giving guys all the tools they need. So that was really helpful to be in an organization like that. And, then when you go to college, a lot is provided for you in college and stuff. And that's my son just making a ruckus in the hallway. So
Yeah, he wants dad to play with him, I bet.
here, I'll go make sure in the living room.
But yeah, I think a lot of people are interested in sort of the specifics of what that might look like. I know back when we were playing, we used to look at guys like Tom Brady and say, what's he doing for recovery? What's he eating? So can you give us maybe a sort of what does a day in the life of Jasper look like, nutrition wise, sleep wise, habit wise? What are you doing to stay at your highest level?
That's a great question. Yeah, I remember us we'd always be looking at what Tom Brady was. I think we even bought his book, and we were looking at that, making all the meals and
Yeah,
stuff.
the TB12 method. Yeah.
TB12 method. Yeah, I think I still have that book somewhere. The big book. I remember that, how big it was, and all those recipes and everything in it. So, yeah, I mean, it in season and out of season are completely different animals, right? Like, off season, I'm really lucky, and I know we're probably going to touch on kind of the spirituality meditation. I'm really lucky to be from Southern Oregon, which
For
is such a
sure.
hotbed for that. And I think we'll obviously touch into that later. And but that's an amazing chance for me to recover and get away from hockey and focus on family and just kind of relax and then once you get into off-season training, I like to train in the mornings, right? I've got a great trainer in Toronto and a group of guys that love to work out and skates and stuff. And as far as in season, there's kind of a joke. There's 3 days in pro season in pro hockey, right? You have a game day, a practice day, and an off day. Each day looks similar but very different. And I think obviously, as I said, sleep's such a big aspect. So trying to get if you can get to bed early before a game, that's always helps. And getting 8-9 hours of sleep is really important. And then having a good breakfast and a big pregame meal, right? And then trying to get a good meal in after. And lucky here in Europe, they feed us really really well, and there's a lot of options and really healthy options and stuff. And I think another perk of playing over in Europe, at least in this league, is that a lot of the games are earlier. Like we're playing at 4, 5, or 6, where a lot of the North American
Oh,
games
interesting.
7:30 or 7, and I think that just helps you get to bed a little bit earlier. And sometimes if you're playing at 4 o'clock or whatever, you can go out to eat with your family after and actually go to bed at a reasonable time, not staying up fight and sleep for till 2 or 3 a.m., right, which is often the case, or long road trips. And so Europe's been really really helpful that way.
Yeah, no super long road trips it sounds like there too. So you can play a road game and kind of be back in a reasonable amount of time and get to bed, keep that sleep schedule. But actually, I like that a lot better, that 4 or 5 o'clock game time, because it's way better for the eating schedule. I know like 7 o'clock games, there's like it's a weird amount of time between lunch and game
Yeah.
time, and it's like, do I eat another meal? Do I just have a snack? Do I get some stuff at the rink from the snack table? It's like, what do I do? But
Yeah.
it sounds like you can kind of have your routine and stick to it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome to hear. But yeah, I wanted to kind of transition a little bit into the business side of things, because growing up with your love of sports and being a fan of all these athletes as a kid, it gives you this idea, this inspiration. So share a little bit about your vision for your app OffScript and how that kind of came about for you.
Yeah, growing up in a non-hockey market, me and my family spent a lot of time researching different paths. Right, major juniors back then, obviously it's just changed, but you couldn't go NCAA, and college was a big thing for us. So I remember getting invited to, I think it was the Everett Silvertips camp at a young age, and my dad kind of going online, going, don't think we should probably go near this. We could lose college eligibility, just really gray areas, and not an understanding of really the path to go and where to go. So we spent a lot of time and researching and yeah. So that was kind of the fan side of it. And I get to college and I'm getting a lot of messages from fans, and name, image, and likeness is coming up, and just looking for a better way to kind of handle fan mail and want to reply to people. And I got this idea to make an app that allows fans to come in and message with athletes. Athletes set their own price for each reply, and yeah, the whole thing is handled in the app. And yeah, that's off script. And we're lucky enough to launch a couple weeks ago at the University of North Dakota with our first school, and it's been an amazing learning curve. Like I love business. That's what I studied in college, and from a my family is a lot of small entrepreneurs who have started businesses, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun and something I want to do post hockey for sure.
I love it. It's such a great idea, such a great vision, especially because social media and other things of that sort are so ugly these days. Like if I were a pro athlete, I would not have social media just because of some of the things that go on there. So to build a place that's safe and trustworthy for fans and people to connect in a positive way, I think that's so needed, and it's going to benefit both the fan and the athlete. So I love the initiative you took too, because you could have said, I'll just wait until after I'm done playing, after my career is over and I've got some sort of financial stability in my life, but you didn't. You just went all in, and I've admired that ambition in you. So what fueled that decision to really go all in, and how important is it for people to just bet on yourself and have your own back?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and yeah, I'm a big believer in you learn by doing, and there's going to be a lot of failures and mistakes, and you just got to keep going. And yeah, I started it in college. I started actually during COVID. I think I was getting quarantined for 10 days, and I said I got to do something here. And at the same time, I was also doing a lot of projects and stuff on other businesses, and I remember doing a project on Coca-Cola, and I was like, I do not feel passionate about this at all. And I'm having to research and look at all these numbers and come up with, diagrams and plans. And I'm like, I'd rather do something that, one, I can learn more on than, obviously you learn from doing Coca-Cola, but it's a mega established business with their customers are all over, right? Like, so yeah, so I just decided it was a great time to do it, and was lucky enough to be joined by my two other co-founders. And I think, there's never any perfect timing in life. Go out and try things, experiment, fail, like I just said, and yeah, so that was kind of, I'm glad I started off script. And then I think the interesting thing is transitioning to pro, you realize, one, there's a market there too, and two, you have a lot of time on your hands in pro. Like I think people forget about that. But there's a lot of downtime, and I wanted to kind of keep my mind occupied and keep learning and studying and growing, and a business was a great way to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think time is really the biggest thing. Like if you've got a vision, just start, do something, because over the course of months and years, your own learning and the steps you take, they start to compound. So if you can be a few years ahead, it's massive, it's exponential. And I think you've always been very growth oriented, which I love that about you. And we were even talking a couple weeks ago about how frustrating business can be, especially getting things off the ground. And you were saying, I just need to be patient. I need to learn more. I need to keep being a student. So share a little bit about your mindset when it comes to this, about prioritizing the growth and the learning over any sort of immediate outcomes.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we spend a lot of our time, especially as consumers, looking at products that are completely finished. And again, if you're a consumer of a product, it's probably had years of iteration and has gone through different stages to become that product that you want. So, and then you flip sides and you're on the side of building a product, and you realize just how much work and detail goes into it. From listening to customers to tech breaking and different UI fixes and just the whole kind of aspect of behind the scenes of a business, and you just grow an appreciation for it. So yeah, I think on the learning side, I'm constantly watching podcasts and even asking questions, right? Like I'm a huge believer in people have worked really hard to get where they are and have a lot of knowledge, and if they're willing to share that with you, that's a great opportunity to not fail as much and get a better understanding. So yeah, I've loved it, and I obviously see there's a real opportunity in this space, and especially post hockey, right? Like at some point my career is going to come to an end, and yeah, I'm going to be just a student, hopefully doing something in business and continuing to learn and grow. And yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing that you and I were talking about off camera is how different business is from something like sports. Hockey is kind of, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easy in the sense that there's sort of this established path. Like if things aren't going your way, you get in the weight room, you
Yeah.
shoot some pucks, you study film, and if you just follow this formula and do what other people have done to be successful, you're pretty much guaranteed some level of success. But business isn't like this at all. In business, there's a million different paths that are open to you, and you're not really guaranteed success in any one of them. So, how have you found a way to navigate this uncertainty?
Yeah, it's I think join the the business startup world, it's vast, right? There's so many different components and so many different avenues you can take. And like you said, in hockey, it's you're on a team, and that team is often guided by a coach and an organization, and you show up and you work hard, and it's almost simple in that way. And then you join business and you have decisions to make and different outcomes, and you're measuring analytics and retention and churn and all of this kind of startup stuff that you didn't even know was a thing, right? And I think it's
Right.
reality is university is fantastic, but they teach you a lot on how to be a very, very good employee. And I think that's fantastic. And you learn how to learn. And once you kind of venture off into the startup world, you realize how different it is.
Yeah.
And that has been an amazing and frightening learning experience. And putting out a product, right? Like I've spent years working on off script and trying to make sure that the fan and the athlete connection are, seamless, and the athlete knows when to reply and how much they're getting paid. They can set their own price, all the back end UI, the algorithms that go into that. And then you have the front side, the fan who comes in and given an opportunity to message an athlete for, maybe the first time they're going to get a reply. And, you put so much effort and focus in your talking to customers and fans and athletes and testing and stuff, and then you put it out there and some people come, and you're back to kind of trying to figure out how to launch again and grow and taking an impact, feedback and stuff. So it's a different world, and it's one that I'm really enjoying, and it's vast, it's big.
Yeah, it's challenging, but it's also fun and exciting. And yeah, you're absolutely right. There is that element of the fear that comes up when you put yourself behind something and you pour all of your creativity and your passion into a project, and this fear of like, what if people don't respond well? What if it's not really received by other people? So all those fears that come up in business, we get to face, and we get to actually work through them and kind of heal them and say, all right, what's this about? And every time you move through those fears, it's like you become bigger and your life becomes bigger. And that's one of the most exciting things, I think, for me about business, because like you said, college, it makes you a good, responsible employee, but ultimately showing up and punching the clock as an employee is a whole lot different than bringing your own thing to life and putting yourself behind it, and the passion and almost obsession that has to come along with being in the world of startups and business. So
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier Coca-Cola, and that just, it brought to mind, I think, how many businesses today are just in it for profit,
Mm.
sometimes at the expense of a lot of people and our well-being. And I think one thing that I love about you is you've never been willing to sell out and compromise on the principles that are important to you. You've always stayed true to yourself. But at the same time, I think what you're seeing and learning is that when you run a business, you do have customers, and these customers have wants and expectations that you need to consider. And so, how have you found a way to kind of balance this way of staying true to yourself, but also managing other people's expectations?
Yeah, no, that was beautifully said. I think you nailed it. Yeah, I think it's really interesting because in order to run a business, you got to make profits, and that keeps the lights on. That keeps the apps service fees and everything, paid for. But at the same time, you want to build something that you're, passionate about. And, I think for me, I was looking at these athletes, right? And even when I was an athlete, you had a lot of parents coming in asking questions or motivational, tips for their son going through different tryouts and different stages of their hockey journey. And that was where, me and my family were when I was young. And then I got to the point where I was on the athlete side. And I remember getting overwhelmed by lots of messages, and I thought to myself, if you go see a doctor or a therapist, or you go to someone in that career field, they're charging for their advice that they're giving. And I thought, athletes, especially in the college market and NLI, right? Like I know college athletes who were playing different sports and door dashing on the side to make extra cash,
Yeah.
and has given a great opportunity. So I think that you look at these athletes, right? Like we spent a lot of time and effort to get where we were, and we know which hockey tryout camps are probably money grabs, and which one is which main camps are good to go to. And there's a whole world of knowledge that we have paid the price to know, and understanding that you have value to that is not a bad thing. And on the flip side, giving fans an opportunity, right? That's not a closed door. And so it's obviously something that's it's a business, and the right path and stuff it's when done right, it kind of feels like it's perfect.
Yeah, that's a great point that we have kind of gone through the rite of passage where we have a lot of knowledge and wisdom to share with the younger generation. And this is almost kind of, I feel like, where your world and my world overlap at this point, with being able to use the app as also a source of mentorship and learning and teaching, and kind of helping out this younger generation that has these big dreams and aspirations. And I know I've had a lot of younger guys in the hockey world who are trying to figure out what junior team should I go to, what tryouts should I actually spend money on.
Yep.
And yeah, there's so much confusion. I think there's so many options, and so there's a huge market for helping out these younger folks and families as well, because these decisions ultimately impact, I think, all of our families. So I love this vision, and I think ultimately that is what it's about. It's about staying true to you and your vision, because really there's nobody who could make your vision a reality in the same way that you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is, if the idea comes to you, it's yours. It's yours to make a reality. And I think you just trust that you're going to attract the right people if you're staying true to yourself and you're being authentic. So I think it's really what it comes back to, is follow that inner compass, that inner knowing, and also coming from a place of service and genuinely wanting to be of value to other people. And if you do those things, you're going to have a business that kind of takes on a life of its own and starts to grow organically. No matter how fast or how slow, it's going to be successful because it's yours and it's true to you. So I definitely respect and admire that in you, because you're an athlete, you're a high performer, you're a business owner, but you're also just a very well-rounded person who's explored a lot of new ideas and modalities, some of these being things like natural healing and meditation. So I'd like to get into that a little bit. Share with us kind of how your upbringing in Oregon, where these things are very accepted and they have been for a long time. What was that like, and how has that shaped kind of your own path?
Yeah, it's been, transformational, I guess. And I was just, kind of blessed to be born in Southern Oregon, right? Like, not on the hockey side, there's not much hockey there, but from the spiritual meditation, natural healing, plant medicine kind of world, right? I was, raised with meditation and organically, farm to table food, and ethically raised, meats, and all the things that I think they're becoming a lot more normal, and people are looking at it and going, that's a huge area in our society who, people dealing with different health and stuff. So it's pretty funny. I always kind of joke that Ashland, my hometown, was 20 years ahead of the curve, right? Like, again, we were,
It was, yeah.
we grew up doing a lot of things that are becoming kind of normal now, and people are going, I kind of how did we not see this? And it's interesting to kind of watch people who have kind of come to us and come kind of full circle back and have gone, oh, I think you might be onto something there. So yeah, Ashland's great, and I think I touched on it. That I'll go back, and it's kind of the place that me and my wife like to go back to, kind of right after the season, and we spend at least a month there if we can, and just kind of reset your nervous system and get back into nature. And there's meditation circles, and it's a really healing, beautiful place.
Yeah, back in the day, Ashland was just this hippy dippy town full of a bunch of quacks, and now everybody's starting to catch on again. And so you're way ahead of your time. We talked a little bit off camera about some of the specifics and the modalities that both of us have explored, from meditation to these natural healing practices, and even things like plant medicine, which is also entering the conversation, and especially with athletes like Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of research of the potential healing powers of plant medicines. So, whatever you're comfortable sharing about some of the things that you've looked into and experienced for yourself, and kind of what that's been like.
Yeah, I think, Oregon's obviously on the forefront of a lot of that stuff, and has been for the last 20 years. And, you're kind of starting to see it pop up, especially in contact sports. And, I think Daniel Carcillo, a longtime NHL veteran, NHL fighter, is opening up, 3 plant medicine specific centers for, healing of all types. And I think it's, a matter of time before it kind of hits the nation, and is kind of open, all over the place. So it's been really kind of cool to connect with, Daniel Carcillo, and seeing what he's doing in Oregon, and have that right in your state. And yeah, I just think there's a lot of benefit for humanity out there in getting back into nature. And again, for me, it's eating organically sourced, ethically raised food. Understanding where your food comes from is a huge thing. And we've
Yeah.
got farmers. We're lucky to have farmers markets, and a lot of raw and natural honeys, and a lot of things that people, nettle tea, right? Like, I remember having nettle tea growing up, and in order to deal with allergies and stuff. And just this plant medicine is all around us, and it's been used indigenously for thousands of years. And I think it's, as long as you're making sure that, again, you're getting it from the right place, and stuff, it has tremendous powerful benefits.
So interesting, and I'm with you there. Daniel Carcillo, in his research with the potential to heal things like CTE and other long-term damage from sports, is that medicinal mushrooms that he's mostly using there?
Yeah, I think it's psilocybin. Yeah, there's a really fascinating Netflix documentary by Michael Singer called "How to Change Your Mind," where he looks at different places. I know places in Switzerland, and how people have been able to use different sorts of plant medicines like that to heal their brains, and heal their bodies. And yeah, there's just so much, I think, powerful information, and opportunity with natural healing plants and remedies.
Yeah, Michael Singer, he's great. His book, The Untethered Soul, that was one of the first really eye-opening books that I read on spirituality. I think back during the pandemic, when I was really just exploring and curious about myself and the nature of what are we doing here? What's this all about?
Yeah.
So I'll definitely have to check out that documentary. I know you're a big fan of meditation and using that for just balancing your nervous system, your well-being, your state of mind. What does that look like for you? Do you have a normal practice? Do you like to do groups?
Yeah, again, like, in season, out of season is completely different for me. Out of season, when I go home to Oregon, again, like, you're just surrounded by, and I've been lucky to tap into so many opportunities, and different groups, and, meditation led, hour, 2, 3 hour long sessions. And that's what I love to do in the summertime. And then during the season, it's just little moments. I think if meditation is, becoming still, and understanding listening to your breath, and just really kind of quieting the mind. You can do a lot of really deep, meditation in these hour-long groups. But when you're alone, you can tap into that pretty, I find I can tap into that pretty easily. And that's what I like to do during the season. It's not these long sessions as much. It's more little small moments. And I find it really balances me out, and can help me with creativity, relaxation, sleep. I mean, it's endless, right? My relationships become
Hmm.
better. I'm a huge believer in it, and all it takes is just a quiet area, and just a willingness to kind of sit with yourself, which can be challenging.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember, I think it was when we were playing together in Wenatchee is when I first started getting acquainted with the whole idea of meditation. I was listening to podcasts and reading books, and one thing I found in common is everyone said they had some kind of meditation practice. So
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, I got to give this a try. And I I remember when I started, I couldn't do it. Like I would set a timer for 3 minutes, and I
Yeah,
would put it next to me, and I'd close my eyes, and my mind was racing so much, like I couldn't sit still for 3 minutes. I'd like peek my eyes open and look at my phone, like, is it
yeah,
time yet?
100%,
And I
100%.
think that's where all of us start because we're in such this busy, chaotic world, and we're never taught this growing up, right? Unless you're from Ashland, Oregon. But
We're in
for
Oregon.
most of us,
Yeah. Well,
for most of us, it is so hard.
yeah, and I was just gonna say I got really into it during yoga. Like I grew up, in a
Oh,
yoga
yeah.
family, and at the end of yoga, a lot of times you'll go through a meditation, and it's really at that point, you've done such a hard workout that your body's really, your body doesn't need to move. You're tired, you're and able to drop into that meditative state. And I'd always leave yoga class going like, wow, that's pretty powerful. And then you start to kind of hear, hey, you can meditate, and spirituality and all of this, whatever you're into, whatever kind of fits your needs at that time is available to you. So that's really how I got into it was yoga. And I remember we did a ton of yoga in Wenatchee, so those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right too that it is so much more powerful in a group sometimes. Like a self practice is great, but there's something about being in that collective energy with other people. Like I know I did Joe Dispenza's week long retreat
Mhm.
a couple years back, and that was incredible. Like I accessed states that I've never accessed, but so did everybody else because we were all kind of in that energy together. So it's interesting to play around with different things from group to individual, but you do get a lot better. Like I've gone from not being able to sit still to I can pretty much tap in very quickly now and get into a relaxed state and a creative state, whatever it is, because the benefits they really are mind bending. What you can do, and it's like once you get over that instant gratification desire and to recognize that meditation, you're kind of in it for the long run. Like it will change your life over the course of months and years. But I think if people can commit to that sort of thing, just something small every day that can move the needle so much over the course of time, and especially for people like you, high performers and businessmen, leaders, I think it's so important moving forward for humanity, really, that we have leaders and people who are running businesses who are very conscious and aware and heart centered and coming from the right place. I think for way too long, we've seen people running our world that are not in it for the best interests of the people. So I'm really inspired to see the possibility of people like you running our big businesses and corporations and moving the needle of human progress in the right direction. That's really encouraging to me. So how would you say that these different modalities like meditation and plant medicine experience, how has that shaped how you view the world and just how you go about your life? Because it tends to change you in a very deep level. So how's that been for you?
Yeah, 100%. I think, anytime you're exposed to these kind of different avenues of life, right, you can kind of bring them back into your day to day. And again, I think it calms you and mellows you and centers you a bit. So, actions are more intentional, and life is almost a little bit more of a flow state, in terms of
Hmm. Yeah.
day, and less reactive. And I think it's great. And I also think the reality is we're still always learning and growing, and we make mistakes, and we're not perfect, and understanding that that's okay, and that's still part of life, right? So I think it's just
Absolutely.
kind of opened my mind a bit, and instead of, I think, clutching onto things as much as I, maybe even did a couple years ago, and just allows life to come, and again, trying to be more present, and but it's still challenging. It's still hard to do, and I think that is the beauty of it. And yeah, I've still on my own journey of life, and yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And you're so right. You do just cling to things less. You're in more of a flow state. You let life come and go as it wants. You go with the natural rhythms of how life wants to flow and the seasons of your own growth. And I think you do just, you bounce back a lot quicker when you have setbacks and challenges, or when you're going through something. It almost just like stretches and expands your capacity to be able to handle what's going on in your life.
Mhm.
Because someone like you got a lot going on, and you're married now. You got a son who's what, two, almost two,
Yeah, he's almost two. I think he's a year and four
and,
months.
and then a daughter on the way. Is that what you said?
Daughter on the way. Yeah, due here in a couple months. So yeah, life is full right now, and gotten through the beauty of, yeah, of fatherhood, and being married, and all this fun stuff. So it's definitely different things every day, right? It looks a lot different than our time in Wenatchee. So yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you about that, the family and the fatherhood. That's a point that I'm not in my life yet, but I think it really it opens you up in so many ways, right? And it becomes, it's not really about you anymore. It's, you've got these other responsibilities and these little beings to prioritize. So, how's that shifted you?
Yeah, it completely opens you up in a complete different way, right? Like again, you've gone through so many experiences in life, and then you get married, and you have a kid, and yeah, you really kind of see life from a different perspective. So, I'm really, really lucky. My wife is, full on mom, and able to really just be super mom, right? And I'm able to, do my part as dad, and yeah, we're super, super lucky, and I think it's one of those things where it's incredibly challenging, right? Like me and my wife will, put my son to bed, and we'll look at each other, and we'll go, what did we do with our time before we had him? Like where did like what were we doing? Like we have, now we get half an hour to ourselves. We're just ecstatic about it. But yeah, it's at this, and then at the other side, it's just incredibly rewarding, right? Like you come home and from a game, and he comes and runs into your arms, and there's just nothing better about that. And then he's getting really into hockey right now, and being able to kind of share that love of the game with him, and give him a mini stick, and cut one of my broken sticks down, and we were playing knee hockey, mini hockey in the hallway, right? Like it's so amazing, and yeah, just really, really fortunate and blessed to be able to, yeah, just interact and play with my son.
He's going to grow up to be just like dad, and you might be navigating the whole world of youth hockey all over again. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, I mean, we'll know a lot more this time than, my family did when I was going through it. So I always joke with my wife, I'm like, we got to get him into something like warm. Like I can't spend more time in the rink than I already have, right? Like let's get him into golf or tennis or something where we can sit outside and enjoy the sunshine and the fresh air. And but I think there's a real possibility. I'm in a rink for, yeah, for a lot of my parenting days, which will be fantastic. So will be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be a blast. Youth hockey and youth sports in general are getting pretty crazy, pretty competitive out there, though. So it should be interesting going through it a second time and
Yeah.
seeing how it's changed.
Yeah, if we're in
But
if we're in Toronto, it'll be a lot different than my experience in small Oregon, with one rink in 5 hours, and just you knew everyone on your team from the time that they were playing hockey. No one, there was no tryouts. Everyone just made the team, and it'll be a different animal if that's where he's playing. So yeah.
no, no kidding. And being a hockey wife is not an easy gig either. So big shout out to Hannah, your wife, for
Yeah,
that. She's
she's a rock.
a trooper for sure.
She absolutely is.
Yeah, I love it. Well, this has been awesome. Before we get into the final two questions that we ask everybody, where can people find you and where can people learn more about OffScript and what you're doing there?
Yeah, I'm on social media. My username is just Jasper Weatherby. And then as far as off script, I'd obviously, we're in a growing stage right now where we're, obviously we've come out and this is our path. But I think the reality is, especially in the startup world, is you listen to your customers and you're stubborn on your vision but flexible on your details. So it's really important that we have fans and athletes coming in and giving us feedback. So you can check out the app at offscript.app. And then you can go to the Apple App Store. We're only available on the iPhone right now, and with hopes to build out to different stores. But yeah, if you have an iPhone, I'd love some feedback. You can email us at contact@offscript.app, and we'd be happy to take any feedback. And for parents out there who are, we had a dad come in and message me about his son who was going through tryouts and needed to understand kind of what that was going to look like, and sent over the information I had, and we got a reply back that said just thank you so much. Right, my son had a tremendous tryout and ended up making the team. So that's what we're about. That's where you can find me on social media and off script. And again, any feedback or users would be fantastic.
Awesome. That's amazing, man. And now just to wrap up the final two questions that we ask everybody on this show. First, in the spirit of this being the Supernatural podcast, what is your definition of an extraordinary life?
I think an extraordinary life is being open to all possibilities while being present.
I love that answer. And if you had one message for humanity as a whole at this time, and you could share that, what would that be?
Love yourself. Starts there.
Simple as that.
Starts there. If you love yourself and you're true to that, that is everything else outwards is going to be tremendously better. So I think once we start to learn to love who we are and our being, the world will open up, we'll become present. And that takes a lot of work, a lot of self-discipline, but it's there for each and every one of us. I truly believe it.
Well said. That's right. You got to fill your own cup before you can give from the overflow, right?
100%.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we got. Brother, this has been an amazing conversation and just a wonderful opportunity to catch up and hear about everything that you're doing in the world. I know I couldn't be more proud of what you've accomplished to this point, and I'm excited to see what lies down the road.
100%. It's been awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast. I really appreciate it.